Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Alexey Presnov, and today we are back with you with our English language broadcasts. As you know, we produce that kind of things every like 2 or 3 weeks. This time, I think it was a little bit more. We haven't met with you for a while, but September is underway, and we already back in business in terms of everything. It's working here in Russia, and so there are some events which I want to share with you. No, as usual, for those who are first time on our YouTube channel, we are about electricity sector, about electricity in Russia, electricity in Kazakhstan and some other countries of Soviet Union. We describe the current events and trends and developments. And today we are watching it's very interesting things. A very interesting thing is it's a kind of radical turn uh, of development which was announced back in a few weeks ago by the current Minister of Energy of Russia. His name is Sergei Severyov, and he is a very influential man. He is rumored to be very close to President Putin. And he said that all those things with regard to further development of the industry should be some kind of refurbished. It should be changed because we are watching stalemate of the industry development because of external conditions, which we all know. Because of all those restrictions, because of high cost of capital, because of high inflation and high interest rate of central bank. And it means that all those plans which were introduced back in 2024, last fall, actually a year ago, for development of up to 2042, it's a so-called general scheme of placement for energy objects. All that is just stagnating. There are no moves in investing, and we see that those tenders and concurses which were observed in Russia, nobody comes. Or they postpone all the time. No, because you cannot invest if you have bank loans under more than 20%. As of today, it was even more because now they have decreased a little bit. The central bank rate is 17%, but so loan cost us 22 at least. And so, of course, it's impossible to to invest in that kind of market because it's a very capital-intensive market, power sector. And we have discussed already many times that, and also in our Russian video, and as I told you many times, you can always, if you want, just get into details, so watch our Russian video with auto translation and subtitles, by subtitles at least, you can see what we're talking about there. But the thing is that just a few days ago, it became much more clear what it meant by Sergei Severyov, the Minister of Energy, because the proposed draft bill of new energy law on electricity was leaked to the media, and we also published that in our Telegram channel. And when we just get familiar with that, so we understood that it's not just kind of bypass statements. It's a radical turn of development because what Sergei Severyov wants, actually, he wants to get back to get the sector back to Soviet Union style development trends. He want to control the prices of all electricity sector, an investment segment at least, because this bill proposes to create a special company, kind of state corporation, which will control the whole process of investment, construction. Also, it will have some kind of standard solutions for power sectors. So if you want to build new capacity, you have to go there, and they will give you some choices there. So you can have to choose there some of that solution, and then it will be controlled in all stages of drafting the plans and stages of creating this preparation work, and also this to orders to industry for manufacturing power equipment and that kind of things, and everything will be controlled. So the process itself and also the prices will be controlled. So it's kind of state planning a la Soviet Union. So it's very kind of radical turn, minding that we have undergone the major reform back in zeros in the beginning of this century, since 2004, I guess 2003. It was electricity bill was introduced back in 2003, the bill on electricity market there, and so it was so-called infamous reform of Chubais was held zeros. I was also a participant of that reform, at least on as a field manager in Murmansk region and Murmansk Oblast, and since that it's a lot of course, that bill was amended many times, and all those institutions and structures were created, like market council, like this exchange, which is called ATS in Russia. All those all those duties and the spheres of work were distributed between different agents and different actors. But as I told you prior to this many times already, that when we have met with those black swans of current geopolitical situation, when inflation went up, when the central bank rates were raised so high, up to more than 20%. Of course, all those mechanisms in investment sector, because in investment sector they didn't manage to create a solid, robust market. So all that just disassembled, was collapsing, because actually the thing is that what we created there, we created quite good operational market. The head market and balancing market, that kind of things are working fine in Russia. But if we speak about the investment segment, all those perspective development, the market was not created there at all. They created kind of pseudo market. It's it's so-called DPM programs and capacity delivery agreements, which is in fact there. It's a kind of regulated asset base, which normally is being used in somewhere on grid regulation, that kind of is monopoly sector, but not in competitive sector like generation. But they just make them, disguise them under some kind of market clothes, and it's main instrument which was used and still is being used for for development of new capacity and modernization. And of course, it doesn't work because when prices went up, when for cost of capital went up substantially, and you cannot make more income than return like 13, 15% in our industry. And of course, if you have to loan at the rate of, let's say, 22 or even 20% or even 17, it's just everything it's not profitable at all. It's you're working at loss. And so that's let me show you some interesting presentation, because just a few days ago, or even yesterday, it was a presentation. It was a conference where a presentation was manifested. It's conference of power energy producers, of generating companies. Let me show you some interesting slides, and they are in Russian, but I'll comment them in English. This one, yes, yeah. This is what we have here. It's a presentation of Alexander Banina, which is chairman of that Association of Generators, and there are some interesting things here which I saw today. It's this one. This slide is very interesting. It's return on investment. We can see here when return is 14%, for instance, and we need to invest 40 capex, capital expenditures, 40 trillion rubles, which is about $400 billion. And this is those figures correspond to the general scheme of energy objects placement until 2042. It requires to invest 40 trillion rubles to fulfill all those programs which are necessary, which were adopted a year ago, and 40 trillion rubles. So if you have this 14% of return, so 75 billion trillion rubles, 75 trillion rubles, everything is a trillion rubles, you will pay to the banks which finance all these things. And those 14%, actually, they were usual figure. It's average figure of all those mechanism like DPM, this capacity delivery agreements, which was used since end of zeros of this century and in 2010s, and they have built on that mechanism about altogether it's about 50. More than 50 gigawatts of capacity. But if we just, here's a comparison here, if you have a return of 17%, and this is today, it's a central bank rate, and so actual return, actual loan costs more, it's more than, it's about 20, 19, 20, it's minimum. So the same 40 trillions you will have to give to the banks 95 trillion rubles already. And here's the gray one. It's tax, actually taxation. And so this is the thing, and they say that they have to actually we see that for altogether we have to pay the cost of all this program will be not 40 trillion rubles but 167, and this is about $1.5 trillion, which is tremendous sum for that kind of thing, and of course we need to do something with that. So the Minister of Energy and the minister itself, they have decided that they have to to change the policy and is to make this radical turn, which I already mentioned. But they are actually turning around back to the USSR style uh, planning and investment sector of power industry, and that is very worrisome for market society, because we understand that this completely devastates all those results which we reached by that very painful reform which was held back in 2000s, and I was also participant of that reform. And the discussion is now underway, of course, and also, in this bill, which was proposed by Minister of Energy, there are some other things like, for instance, they wanna strip off system operator, which now is responsible for all those, perspective for development of the power system, and actually all those figures which we just saw, like 40 trillion rubles for generation needed to invest until 2042. All those are calculated by a system operator. Of course, as I said before, we don't have investment sector, we don't have a real market, we don't have this market-wide vendor market-wide auction, which is actually is held, for instance, in PGM and some other jurisdictions. So we have that kind of difficulty. We have different multiple prices for new generation, for modernization, refurbishing, for old generation, and they don't compete directly with each other because of high cost of capital and because it doesn't work that way. And so the decision which is proposed, our solution which is proposed by the ministry is not to deepen the market mechanism, to delve into the details, and to create, actually, to return back to what was conceived in the beginning of the reform, to create a competitive market in all sectors, not only operational sectors, but also in the investment sector. They are thinking that they have to strengthen the role of the ministry. Actually, they want to make the industry not just a regulator, but a direct actor on the market, direct subject of the economic activities on the market. And that is very worrisome, because they want to create this special corporation, which is called Rosenergo Project, and Rosenergo Project in Russian, which will control all the things related to the build-up of new capacity and modernization, and they control the prices for energy machinery, this manufacturing, and so it will be just Soviet-style state planning. And to my understanding, it's a very bad move in terms of general development of Russian economy and Russian, and it's very bad to not even move. It's a very bad sign to my understanding, because it shows that we are going back to the kind of very strict and very rigid economic model of state capitalism. And of course, they are following, the example of China in the terms. But China is a very different country. It's much bigger than Russia. It can allow itself to, to some inefficiency, which we also observe. So because they have a lot of problems, for instance, in their housing sector, they build a lot of buildings which are empty. Same is with the electricity sector. They build a lot of, especially these renewable parks, which are not connected to the grid, and that kind of thing. But they can allow themselves to do that because they are much, much bigger. It's about 10 times bigger economy. So it's, to my understanding, it's, it's very worrisome to not only for me but for many my colleagues, and I think that is we see that this discussion is now underway in Russia, and it's very difficult to understand how it will finish. Because, as I said, the Minister of Energy is quite an influential person. Also, which is bad. They want to strip off system operator from their responsibility to to run the system and perspective development. I mean the power system because they were designated to do so just a few years ago. All this perspective um, process was concentrated in system operator departments, but now they want to just leave for system operators just to to operate the system actually in operational way, so day-to-day basis. But all those perspective, all the planning, everything, just they want to transfer to that state corporation under Minister of Energy, and also it's very concerning for all of experts, and I think it's a kind of step back, of course. And also in our Russian video, I told that it's a kind of movement towards Kazakhstan, because Kazakhstan economy, Kazakhstan power sector is running is being run by directly the same way, because Minister of Energy controls their exchange, control their head market directly. It sets all those tariffs. It's like 60 more plus, individual groups for tariffs for all those generating companies. So they are not interested to increase their efficiency, because the more efficient this company are, the lower tariffs they receive, and finally, and so it leads to a very high cost of capacity on the capacity market. Because, and again, capacity market is very similar to Russian one, where the multiple prices, prices for for new generation, for modernization, for some other objects, and if old capacity is competing just between each other. And also because there is no link between the operational market, energy market, and capacity market, it leads to very high capacity prices on one hand, and on the other hand, there is preferential load of those new objects. And again, it also means that on energy market, they have problems with competition, with competing between each other, because if, for instance, a new capacity is preferentially loaded and preferentially purchased by their so-called single buyer, institutions, and it means that those older generation, which is more effective, probably, like they have this thermal station, they call it GRES 1. That's a big one, built back in the Soviet Union time. So it has lower tariffs, like about 10 GeO per kilowatt hour, but it's not being purchased by the single buyer, because all those preferential purchasing from other projects which are on the capacity market. They strike agreements with Minister of Energy. They are first in place. It's not a merit order there, but it's just subjectively preferential market. So some are always ahead of others. And Russia, goes in that direction. So that's a problem, to my understanding. And of course, we, raise our voices against that in our Telegram channel and our discussions. Let's see what will happen. That is what I wanted to, to explain to you this time. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Goodbye.